Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about. After the news you need to know about, we run you through the fan Q&A where we answer fans' questions. First news story everybody already knows, but a Miami Dolphins player was named number 1 on the top 100 NFL players list, which is pretty awesome. And as a fan, obviously, it's cool. I've never really liked the top 100 list that much. I always thought it was a weird list, the way that they rank things. I don't really agree with the way that they ranked it this year, but it's just hype that a Dolphin was named the best player in the world. So that's really cool. And then obviously, to a follow-up to that, if you guys have been following it, the Dolphins had 8 players on the top 100. They were second most in the NFL, only to the 49ers, who had 9. So that's a big deal. Shout out to Chris Greer. Also, Tua was in the 30s. I think he was 36, which is the highest a Dolphins quarterback has ever ranked on the list, which is another. So there's a lot of milestones they hit in the offseason with that, if you care about that list. But still pretty cool. Yeah. This next news story has really made me happy as a Dolphins fan. Dolphins agreed to a rework contract with Tyreek to keep him in Miami longer. There was no new deals added. The deal includes $65 million in guaranteed money, and the restructuring will cover the 3 years that were already remaining on Hill's contract. So no new years were added. Again, this comes from Pro Football Rumors. When combined with his 2023 guarantees, Hill's contract is now $106 million in guaranteed money. So basically, they're keeping him in Miami longer, even though there's no years added. They added more guaranteed money. Obviously, he wanted a reworked deal. He got it to keep him in Miami at least another 2 years, or 3 years, honestly. This is a big deal as a Dolphins fan. I hope he retires in Miami. I think he's one of the best Dolphins ever. I think he's one of the best players. He's probably the best player we've had since Dan Marino. I guess you could make an argument for players like Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas, obviously, who are both in the Hall of Fame. And there's some other guys. Well, really just those two. I don't think anybody else can really measure up to Tyreek. And it would be nice for him to retire a Dolphin, and he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer one day. So he's one of the best players in NFL history. And I hope he can finish his career in Miami, and it looks like he will. And this is obviously a huge step in that direction. And I think it's just a big deal to me as a fan, and as knowing the history of the league, to have a player like him finish his career in my favorite team's uniform is a big deal. And so we get to enjoy one of the best players ever for 3 more years, which is awesome. This next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins signed offensive lineman Sean Harlow. He's a former Cardinal. He played for Oregon State. He had stints with the Cowboys, Cardinals, and Colts. He has had 8 starts in his career. He's played in 41 games. So basically just a kind of a camp guy. We'll see if he does anything. I doubt it. Some of the other news stories, we will go to training camp. One of the things I want to mention before we move on, huge bummer that the scrimmage didn't happen. Massive bummer. And also I just want to point out the vibes coming out of camp, overwhelmingly positive. I really like the vibe and the mentality of this team. I also want to say, just reading everything and then watching press conferences, if you guys do that, Anthony Weaver, it really is a blessing to the team. Him coming from that culture in Baltimore, I think is going to be a really underrated thing that nobody's really talking about. I think him bringing that to Miami cannot be overstated. He is, that's going to make a big difference defensively from the last 2 guys we had. Vic Fangio didn't want to be here. he was an old curmudgeon who didn't respect Mike for whatever reason, I guess because he was younger. And then you go before that, it was Josh Boyer, who was inexperienced, didn't really have a good track record, really never called plays at a high level, never played in the NFL. And then you go to Anthony Weaver, who has a very decorated past when it comes to defense. Not only did he play in Baltimore and have success, and he played in the NFL, but he coached in Baltimore and learned a lot, and a lot of those defenses had a lot of success. So to bring someone of that tradition, I think is going to make a big impact, and I think, which gets me really excited for the defense this year. Just wanted to point that out. But moving on, this next news story comes from the Palm Beach Post. This is the latest Dolphins training camp practice, I believe, which was Friday or Saturday. I think this is Friday's practice. Tua wore the orange jersey practice, designated for the best player of the last practice. I believe this was the Friday practice. So that's awesome. Tua got the best player, and he's having a really good camp so far. Which has been, everybody who's been at the training camp practices has said that's why the scrimmage thing sucks when you didn't get to see that. Tyreek Hill was not spotted early in practice. Later, Hill appeared at Dolphins practice. Special teams coach Danny Crossman is engaged in conversation with seven officials. I guess was this a live update? Nick Needham had a nice pass breakup in the middle of the field. Ethan Bonner intercepted Tua on a deep ball for Tyreek Hill. These are just some of the notable plays. Defensive lineman Jonathan Harris made a few positive plays. The Dolphins added 1 million DTs, but Deshaun Hand still seems squarely in the mix. Patrick McMorris had an interception of Mike White, but it would have been negated by an offsides. Too many offsides on defense today. These are some of the observations again. There have been too many drops from running backs early in training camp. Too early in practice, Tua was under pressure and unable to find a receiver downfield, so he just tucked the ball away. Jalen Ramsey forced Raheem Mostert to fumble, and Javon Holland recovered. Tua overthrew Braxton Berrios for a deep touchdown. Tua dropped one in the bucket to Braylon Sanders. He's so impressive in the area of accuracy and touch. Jalen Phillips is working really hard with trainers on the side. Phillips' Achilles is clearly making progress. He's an incredible athlete. Not the best article in the world, but I guess it kind of gives you a vibe of what happened. I can't remember who wrote the last one, but they did a really good job of breaking it down. There's really not a ton of other news to talk about. I don't believe. I would say some other camp observations. Devon Achane's having a really good camp, especially this last one. Scoring basically a game-winning touchdown on a 4-minute drill when the offense was down, or a 2-minute drill when the offense was down 4. He ended up scoring. So Achane, Jalen Wright apparently is picking up the offense fairly quickly. Chop Robinson, who's having a good camp, which is awesome for Dolphins fans, obviously. And I think Malik Washington has been a little bit quiet, which I didn't expect. I expected a little bit more out of him. Haven't really heard too much positive about him, which is interesting. Odell obviously hasn't practiced yet. Neither has Isaiah Wynn. Those are the two big ones. And then obviously Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are still working on their injuries. So there's... I love the vibes coming out of camp. I love the addition of Jordan Poyer too, to add more toughness to the team, especially defensively. And obviously Anthony Weaver brings that as well. And obviously the emphasis on being physical has been made very clear, it seems like. And I think that's important, especially when in late in the year against the best teams of the AFC. I hope we have that kind of physical mentality in December, especially on the defensive side of the football. And I hope, because we practice against them every day, that translates to the offensive side of the football and makes us a better physical team. And I hope, we'll see if that does happen, but it should. And I'm glad that's been an emphasis this year. So, yeah, that's it. It doesn't really seem like there's too much going on that's of note. I don't expect, we'll see. I want to, before I end the video, or the thing, I do want to know exactly when this is Falcons game. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention this as well. Dolphins are joint practicing with the Falcons this week, so that should be pretty fun. Preseason schedule. I just want to make sure when we play. Friday, August 9th. So this Friday. So that's going to be that's pretty awesome. So next time I do a video, we're going to be able to break down that game, which should be really fun, and see some of the young players and see how well they do out there. But yeah, great offseason so far. Anthony Weaver, Tyreek Hill, Tua, who's having a great offseason. So that's pretty awesome. There's a lot of things I think they're doing to change, especially with the addition of Anthony Weaver and some of the veteran players. I think is really going to help out the team mentally and just really shape it to be a really talented veteran team with a lot of really good young players that are the core of it, which is always a good thing and always a really good mix to have. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.